Well, just in case everybody don't know, you should know by now, my name's Deontay Copeland, the CEO, Exec Director, National High School Basketball Association. And these ladies with me, introduce yourselves.
Hey everybody, my name's Shelby. I'm an intern at NHSBA. It's nice to see everybody again.
Hi, I'm Sydney. I'm also an intern and excited to have everyone here tonight.
And my name is Kennedy. I am also an intern. Thank you for everyone who tuned in.
Definitely. And we have a special guest tonight, Mr. Eric Wise. He's a global GM for Adidas basketball. So definitely glad to have you tonight. And I also wanted to thank you before we get started for your support for our different chapters for NHSBA, for our kids. We definitely appreciate you guys' support for us and everything that you've done for us so far.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, happy to help, support, and yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, to start off, I want to definitely ask you, can you, I guess, briefly describe kind of your role with Adidas?
Yeah. So basically, I'm responsible for the business of Adidas basketball globally. So that is from everything from signing, players to building product to, marketing, finance, selling product. So the overall business I'm responsible for. So any kind of collaborations or any of that other stuff that kind of happens, as well as the stuff that's not as exciting, I'm responsible for. So that's kind of my role, and the team that kind of works under me is I'm trying to drive the vision and kind of bring things forward for the company, the brand, and the category.
Definitely. And I forgot to mention to everybody, make sure that the questions you have for Eric, you submit those via chat to Sydney. We're going to go to a Q&A with you guys at the end to kind of let you ask questions for Eric as well. And also, join make sure you like our pages for social media, for Facebook, the National High School Basketball Association, for Instagram, NHSBA 06, and YouTube, NHSBA 06 as well, and Twitter, the NHSBA.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and ask a question for you, Eric, real quick. I wanted to know, what is something that most people don't know about Adidas?
That's a good question, Shelby. Great way to start off. Probably what most people don't know about Adidas is how big the brand is and how it stretches across the world. So the entire brand, there's about 60,000 people that work for Adidas, and across multiple countries, multiple continents across the world. And, when you say that, you're like, okay, that feels big, but how we communicate, how the business actually runs, it's super complicated. And there's a lot of expertise in each piece of the business, from the people who, send product from our factories in Asia to our distribution centers in Spartanburg, South Carolina, to, some of our sales offices in Europe, as well as, Russia, et cetera, you name it. There's so many layers to the business that makes it really, it's daunting to kind of, just kind of get your chance to kind of know people. Obviously in the digital environment, it's a lot harder, but also just how to navigate that. But on the same token, you get a chance to meet a lot of people from all across the world, all walks of life, which makes things exciting and keeps things fresh.
So I know one thing you said that your role consists of is collaboration. And so I want to know, how has the collaboration changed since the pandemic with coworkers and other companies?
Yeah, I think it's changed for everyone, right? But I think honestly, in a good way. Having these kind of calls with you all, I think is a way for us to connect, faster, more frequently. So I think we've taken advantage of it and actually adjusted in a more positive way. I think in the beginning, we all kind of struggled. And, for us, where we're used to kind of having just tons of meetings and kind of just, more importantly, just being able to walk across the hall and talk to people and have these conversations in the hallway, you had to schedule those things out. So in the beginning, I think it's been, it was hard. But as we got used to it, we had a chance to really reach out and talk to more consumers, talk to other partners, to the point around collaboration. and just our colleagues across the world on a more frequent basis. So I think we definitely took it to a different level and have used, tools like Zoom and whether it's Microsoft Teams, et cetera, different platforms to just become closer. But I would say at the end of the day, it's still not as good as having that human interaction. I think that's something that's definitely missed.
I have a question for you myself. What brought you to this career? What made you want to get into this type of career?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't like a linear kind of, space. I think for me, I was an athlete growing up. I played basketball, football. I played football in college. And I was always into sport, and just kind of style, for lack of a better term. But I think I tried, out of college, I had a business degree, and I kind of tried, the whole, stock market kind of path, which was not for me. I wasn't down with wearing a suit every day. So that wasn't my thing at all. So I figured that out pretty quickly. And then just, my passion for kind of sport and style kind of collided with an opportunity to work in retail. So I kind of cut my teeth in this industry on the retail side, which you learn a ton, get a chance to work with tons of brands all over, and you really get a really good learning experience just for the industry. And then that kind of took me and opened doors to like, hey, I want to work on the brand side, and timing's everything in life, as we know. And Adidas came at the right time, and while I was looking for something, and the right opportunity came, and I took advantage of it. But I always loved this industry, and I love wearing sneakers. I love everything about footwear and apparel. So it was just something it's something I did. It's never been a job, and that's lucky for me. It's never been a day of work. So I'm definitely thankful for that.
That's such a good way to put it. We have another question. Gerard, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, Eric, how do you guys select which professional athletes you sponsor with Adidas? How do you go through that?
Yeah, Gerard, I think it's that that process has evolved. I think in the past, right, it's like who's the next up and coming that you kind of think is going to be a sure thing, and there isn't too many LeBrons or Zions out there, right? Those are generational talents. So for us, and on top of you have a financial responsibility to the company, so it's like we don't have like unlimited funds to just spend whatever we need. So we have to be kind of strategic in what and who we pick. So for like we kind of have a rating system which we kind of developed over the last couple of years of is the potential athlete, are they what's their community kind of connection, right? So community is very front and center for us, especially from a basketball standpoint in our grassroots programs. So that's a huge piece. So community, there's a rating on them, how just kind of, to be straight up, are they a pain in the ass to work with? Like that's another thing, like just to take, cause that hurts all the way down. And there's a lot of horror stories about that. So that's another thing. And there's some other aspects, are they, how are they just kind of from a style standpoint? Because some people may want to bring on that are maybe more young and up and coming, but have a style aspect to them that we want to bring into the family. Like there's different ways to push and pull on top of being, having, the best players on the court. So it's a little bit of everything that we kind of put into this kind of rating system, and then we get after it the best way we can.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. We have another question from one of our kids, Josiah. If you want to ask your question.
Yes. Okay. I asked, like, what are some like challenges that you face on a daily, and how do you try to overcome them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a lot of challenges. I think in the higher you go in the company, it becomes more, or any company, it becomes more about what you can influence. And it's more about that, a lot of your ideas that you kind of build on your way up help you get in that seat, but it's all about kind of your networking and how you influence people, and more importantly, process and decisions. So that's kind of an ongoing daily kind of challenge, depending upon what it is. And there's kind of, so that's one piece. And then there's kind of these daily fires that we have to put out constantly. It could be with a partner, that we're working with, like I'll give you a real-time example, like things that happen with Kanye. Like, obviously we have to deal with that. Like, so like, what does that look like? You know, and how are we launching Beyonce, and like making sure that that's, you know, she has, you know, certain, you know, expectations for us. So we have to, there's these constant things that we deal with partners, you know, with athletes. You know, if Harden scores 60 in a game, how do we make sure that we, you know, really celebrate that? You know, so we're constantly moving in real time with different aspects of the business, on top of long-term thinking. Like I mentioned, how do you influence kind of this long-term strategy? So it's kind of you're kind of up and down throughout the days, and the challenges differ.
All right, Tamaya, you're up next.
Okay. Hey, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time out to come talk to us. But my question was, when you say that you help build product for the company, do you come up with the designs, or do people bring the designs to you and then like you decide from there?
Yeah. Thanks, Tamaya, for the question. Yeah. I mean, the process of how, what we call kind of product creation is there's three parts to it. One, there's kind of the concept idea. So what we call those product marketers. So I have a team that does that. I did that in the past as well. So I came up with concepts and ideas, stories that we would say, hey, this will work in different markets or for different products. And then what we do is we create a brief, and that brief is basically a written idea, for lack of a better term, that we give to our designers. And then they come up with different designs on how they can hit that brief. And then we kind of go back and forth throughout the process. And then when we land on something that we really like, both design and product marketing, we go to what we call our development team. So that's the team that actually builds the product. So they're the ones that work with factories in Asia to make sure that we can, you know, make the product. Because there's a lot of, you know, great design work that happens on a sketch that you just can't build. It's just not feasible. It'll break down. It just doesn't, from performance side, it doesn't perform. It'll fall apart, things like that. So that kind of what we call the triad between product marketing, design, and development is how we actually bring product to the shelves and the stores that you see.
Awesome. Before I move on to the next question, I have a question myself. You said that you used to work in the concept part of that. Do you think working in that has helped you where you are now? Has helped you understand it better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, I love product first and foremost. I'm a product person. So I love coming up with stories and, you know, seeing product come to life. I don't think there's anything better than that. There's not many jobs that you can actually influence, you know, the history of culture. And we can do that with sneaker culture on a day in and day out basis. So I definitely think that helps. I mean, to be honest though, I think the one part of my career that helps most is retail, because you get a chance to be with the consumer front and center on a day in and day out basis. You understand shopping patterns. You understand what moves the needle. You know, what does a sale tag do? How much, if you price something at this price, can you sell it? If you overprice something, what does that look like? And what value do consumers see in product, as well as that kind of cycle of just purchasing, as we're kind of sitting after, kind of Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday, big shopping times of the year, how does that move into Christmas? And then how nobody buys anything in January. These are things you learn in retail, which helps you a long way.
Awesome, thank you. Our next question comes from Efrance.
Hello, how you doing today? Again, thanks, Eric, for getting on and chatting with us to kind of help us understand some things here. My question is, how do you or the company manage your the colleges that choose to wear your brand? How is that relationship formed, and how do you control it? Because I know we live in a world now where it's like, okay, people move from one thing to the next. So how do you manage that to make sure that everybody is, or that particular college is kept in a safe place and does not damage your brand, as opposed to while they're trying to tailor everything to their brand, you don't damage your brand in the same place, if you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Efrance, I think it's a great question. I think with any partnership, right, the kind of the diligence done prior is super critical. So what I mean by that is to make sure that both brands line up, because to your point, there are some times where our brand doesn't line up with a university's brand, and that's okay. But then that partnership just doesn't come to fruition. You know, you can't just do things for financial gain on either side. It has to be a true partnership, and these partnerships from a NCA standpoint are longer term. So you're going to be in it for a while. So we better make sure that we feel good about working with one another. And I think, you know, as things kind of come and go, you know, good and bad, you know, leaning on that partnership to support each other is super critical. But I think the work going into it and saying, hey, does our brand values work with yours? Yes. Okay, then let's have a conversation. If they don't match from the beginning, it's definitely kind of a no-go. And then that ongoing working relationship is something that happens on a daily, monthly, you know, yearly basis, to make, because things change, to your point, right? So, you know, a year from now will look completely different from 2020, at least hopefully. We hope next year will look different from what we just went through. So, as an example, so yes, I think just having those planning sessions on what we really want to get after from, you know, both brands is super critical to stay lockstep.
Awesome, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have another question from Josiah.
Okay, how did you set yourself apart from others who wanted like the same job as you or who wanted to do the same thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, for me, it's work ethic. Like for me personally, I won't let somebody outwork me. You know, the success of my career in my mind, you know, it means more to me than the next person. So I'll go that extra mile. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I mean, the time that I put in, I won't let somebody outwork me. And, you know, having the, you know, relationships, you know, within the brand and develop in learning. So you're constantly learning from people, and so other people can help you and you're getting better, is something that you really want to have. Because what I say to a lot of the people that are in my team is you need to have kind of internal cheerleaders. So when your time is there, people are going to vouch for you. And you can only do that by building relationships and, you know, working your butt off for other people, doing things for them, not being, you know, just being collaborative internally, and not causing a lot of friction, just, you know, being that good teammate. And then when your time comes, there's a lot of people that really want to see you win on top of your credentials, and that really pushes you over the top.
Well, definitely, Eric, definitely, man. We got a few minutes left before we run out of time. So I guess, what are some of your final thoughts and I guess some kind of recommendations you can recommend to the kids that may want to be in the industry, and kind of some things they need to look forward to if they want to get in the industry in the future?
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a great question. I think for me, one is giving visibility to you know, everyone around this industry, because I know when I grew up, I didn't know this existed, for sure. So having, you know, more people, you know, young and up and coming people that look like me specifically, I think is super helpful to say these opportunities are there. So, you know, I would say there's a ton of retail opportunities to get into retail, you know, your local Foot Lockers and things like that. You know, if you really love shoes or you really love clothing, start there. That's an easy way in. I also think that, you know, because getting into brands, there's, like we said, there's 60,000 people there. There's different avenues to get in. You know, you can get in, you know, working in the warehouse and work your way up. I know when I started in retail, I worked in a warehouse. So don't be afraid to kind of start from the bottom and build up, because not everybody can just dive in. It's highly unlikely to just jump in from the top, but there's multiple places to kind of get in from a retail standpoint, from, you know, like I said, you know, from just warehousing and things like that. But if you love sneakers and you love kind of this industry and just sports, there's tons of avenues to kind of get into it, and just kind of just look. But the ones to get in earlier are retail, and they take you to a bunch of different, they open a bunch of different doors, because all retailers work with a lot of brands, and you can get great insights and great kind of opportunities that come in front of you pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know myself, man, just working with you guys, man. You guys I've learned so much personally about Adidas just from the US side, from the international side. So you guys have a lot of great things to offer as far as your company goes. And you have so many different aspects of the business, from the basketball side to the lifestyle side. You guys have done some great things, man. So on behalf of our organization, again, we thank you for your collaboration with us and all the things you've done. And of course, we look forward to doing more stuff with you, you know, going into the next year as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me, and definitely always here to help and support. So yeah, looking forward to working closer with everyone kind of going forward. So thank you.